Hello, Pain Cave dwellers, and welcome to another round of KISS Community League Racing, the hardest race on Zwift. Today, we are not going to be disappointed with 4 laps of Innsbruckring, a relatively flat course, but with a 1 minute climb each lap that's going to take the legs right out of everyone. So because of that climb, the way this course worked out, it was essentially just an interval workout. So we were doing 10 minutes at threshold with 1 minute as a maximal effort, and then you just had to recover for another 10 minutes at threshold. So you can understand why it was so hard. We're off right now, right out of the pens, 500 watts into the orange numbers immediately. And that's just because KISS community racing is so hard. You want to be near the front of the race and not get caught out by any splits. That's also why it's so important to get to the pens early so you have a good starting position. So here I am, 7th position, and we're going through the start gate here. You can see Alex West from Team Canyon, one of the favorites for today. And I get a drafting power, which I'm immediately going to use just to take the edge off of this start surge. The start of the race is typically the fastest part of the race, so I'm getting the most benefit from the drafting power up right now. With the new Zwift update, you actually get stripped of your power-ups as you enter the pen. So I had come into this race with an arrow boost because I like coming prepared, and I got stripped of it. So that's an interesting addition by Zwift. It's to make the game more dependent on RNG, I guess, which is something the racing community was calling for. And you see up here with me, I have a couple teammates. Hal Blackburn just passed me. We're all in the classy pink kits, and those of us who have the Tron bikes are riding on baby blue Tron bikes. I'm now kind of drifting back into the group a bit. I'm not too worried about being at the front because I know it's probably not going to break up here, of all places. But when we get to the leg snapper, I'm definitely going to move up. In this group, we have some heavy hitters. So Alex West, you guys already saw. Messino, the Poison Dart was there. Adam Zimmerman, Dig Deep Coaching, Stevie Young, and many other big names. So here we are at the start of the first leg snapper. I've moved up to 45th position, which is a pretty good position. I'm taking the start of this climb a bit easier, so 580 watts. I'm not going at my maximum, but here a gap starts to open, so I really open it up here, 680 up into the 10 watts per kilo zone, and I'm going all out at this point. So I was good to pace that first half of the climb a bit easier just so I had stuff left in the tank to cover these gaps and make it into this front group. This front group consisted of around 60 to 70 riders for the first lap. So I'm right in the middle here. I'm letting people come by me just so I can recover a bit, and I'm finding myself at the back of the group here, which is not ideal. You can see that there's a bit of an increase in pace here, and I find myself actually dropping off the back here as we turn right around into this bridge. And when you make turns like this, gaps grow bigger for some reason, the way Zwift gameplay works. So I just have to put a bit of an effort in here to make sure I don't fall completely off the back. There was pretty much no recovery throughout this whole race. So you can see on my power graph and my heart rate graph, we're sitting in zone 3, high zone 3, and zone 4 most of the time. So I'm not really getting to recover between these leg snapper efforts. And here we are coming into the leg snapper for the second time. And I'm around near the back half of the group, which is fine because all these people I'm with are strong, and I don't think that many people are going to be getting dropped because the main selection did happen on that first time up the leg snapper. So you can see my teammate in front of me, Mike, in the matching kit with me, and he also has the Tron bike. Everybody's popping their feather power-ups. I'm trying to save my arrow for that final sprint. Like I said, I came in with an arrow power-up, so now that I have one, my strategy has not changed. And it's important when you're coming over the leg snapper to continue the effort so you're accelerating until you actually get to the negative gradients, and you can rely on gravity to bring you down the rest of the way. There's also a second little kicker there that hurts almost as much as the leg snapper, which you don't notice until you're actually racing the course. So here I am. I drifted back a bit. I'm at the very tail end of this group here. You can see there's a couple guys behind me, but I'm having to do a bit of an effort to get back on. And all of these efforts just hurt a bit more and more and take stuff out of your legs. So the group is really strung out here. That's probably because someone on the front is attacking. I'm not sure who was attacking, but someone was attacking, which is why the group was strung out. And I'm having to put in a big effort here to try and get back on terms. People are coming around me. I'm trying my best to use their drafts, but my legs aren't really feeling it. And luckily for me, the group slows down at this point. You can see they kind of fan out on the road because normally when you're gapped by these couple meters, it means your race is over, especially when the group is going so fast. We're going 50 kilometers per hour here. So I was lucky that the group had fanned out and slowed down. Otherwise, that would have been my race. We'll fast forward a bit until we get to the leg snapper the second time. Once again, this part of the race was no easier than the other parts. We were just cruising around at around threshold, zone 3 area, and then here we are coming into the leg snapper the second time, or the third time. So just some stats on what my efforts were up the leg snappers. So the first time up, I averaged 590 watts, and it took 43 seconds. The second time up, I averaged 480 watts, and it still took the same time, 43 seconds. And then this time up the climb, I averaged 607 watts up the climb, and it took 42 seconds. So those extra 30 watts saving me a full second. And I'm around 66 kilograms, so 607 watts equates to slightly over 9 watts per kilo. So it took us 45 minutes to complete the 4 laps of Innsbruckring, and on those 4 laps, I averaged 300 watts, so that's pretty much my FTP. My FTP is 305 watts, but our normalized power was 340 watts, which is absolutely insane for 45 minutes. Here we are coming into the last round of the leg snapper. I averaged 580 watts up this climb this last time. So pretty much the same effort as the first time up the climb, and we also did it in 43 seconds. My goal here is just to stay with a group of people so we can hopefully stay in for the bunch sprint. And I have high expectations for the bunch sprint because this is the kind of course that suits me, where it's really hard into the finish and everybody's legs are getting blown out. I tend to have a better sprint on tired legs than most people. So I'm just trying my best to stay in contact with some people, and we're doing that pretty well. I come over the top with a decent group of people. However, I let up my effort a bit too early, and there's a gap. Not ideal. So I'm pushing wind here at this point, and the gap is just growing even more and more. My teammate here, Mike, sees that there's a gap growing, and he pops his arrow power up in order to try and help me get back into the group. He kind of gets stuck behind my sticky draft here, and then we have to put in an effort to get over this little kicker. And this is like the optimal time to get back into the group. However, I just don't have the snap in my legs to put in that effort, so I have to use my arrow boost here, which is a bummer considering I had saved it the whole race specifically to contest the sprint. Using my arrow power up, I actually do eventually end up getting back in contact with the group, and we do make contact with the front group. But I'm kind of bummed I've used my arrow power up, so I'm not going to be a major competitor in the sprint. But we go through the final sprint banner, and luckily enough, another arrow power up, so the Zwift gods were on my side clearly today. However, I'm not in a great position. I'm pretty much at the very back of the group, and there's nothing I can do about it. Mentally, I know that I need to be up there in the top 20 positions, and this is just way too far back, but physically, there's nothing I can do about it now. My legs are not feeling great. They're just full of lactic acid and pretty much unable to push. I do make a bit of an effort here, but I never end up making it back into the main group. So you can see there's a couple guys in front of me. We're all doing 6 watts per kilo, and we're slowly getting distance from this main group. I see the gap growing, and there's nothing I can do. I do use my arrow power up in hopes that the group will slow, even though that's very unlikely, and that I can get back in. But I've come to terms that I'm just going to be riding it in with these 4 guys. So if you look a couple wheels ahead, we have my teammate Mike, who has also fallen off the front of the group there. And I don't want to help these guys bring back Mike because our team's rank is dependent on the sum of our positions. So we want to minimize that sum. And by me bringing these guys back, I'll just make Mike's position worse and probably not improve my position that much. So I just sit on the wheels and let them do the final drag into the finish. The sprint between us four opens up here. I put in an effort and just try my best, but you can see 600 watts. My effort up the leg snapper was better than my effort on the sprint here, so that just shows you how tired we are. And we come around Mike here, but I slow up and let him take it at the line just because he's done me a lot of favors over the past couple races, and I'm not really too concerned about the one place, and I'm sure he isn't either. But just a nice gesture as a teammate. Anyways, that was the KISS Community League race around Innsbruckring. Another hard week of racing. I'll be back next Thursday with the Community League. I'm sure it won't disappoint. We're doing a flat course, so it's going to be a bigger group coming into the finish. Hopefully, we can actually contest the sprint next time and make a bit more of a show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe.